You're asleep, completely gone. Mouth open, probably drooling a little, zero awareness of anything happening within a 50-foot radius of your body. You are, by every definition that matters, the easiest target on the planet. Now remove the bedroom. Remove the walls, the locks, the roof. Put yourself on the ground in the middle of a forest. Nothing between you and the outside world except maybe a sleeping bag that a determined house cat could tear through. And somewhere out there, not far, something is moving. Something that can see you perfectly in the dark. Something that can smell you from a mile away. Something that has been hunting for millions of years and is very, very good at it. And it walks past you. Every single night, all over the world, this is what happens. Wolves trot past sleeping campers. Leopards pass within yards of tents and keep moving. Lions smell the humans at a campsite, process what they've found, and leave. A sleeping human, soft, still, completely defenseless, is surrounded by some of the most efficient killing machines evolution has ever produced. And almost nothing ever happens. Why? This isn't a feel-good mystery with a simple answer. The real explanation is layered, and each layer is more fascinating than the one before it. Because what's actually protecting you while you sleep isn't luck. It isn't kindness. It's something that runs much deeper than either of those things. Something that was written into the nervous systems of every large predator alive today, over a period of time so long it makes recorded history look like a Wednesday afternoon. Let's start at the very beginning of why this is strange. A sleeping human should be irresistible to a predator. You can't run. You can't fight back effectively. You're warm, you're protein dense, and you're making absolutely no effort to defend yourself. From a pure logistics standpoint, you are the ideal prey scenario. Slow, quiet, and in one place. If a predator was making a rational checklist of targets, you'd be at the top. And yet you're not being eaten. There has to be a reason. Several reasons, actually. And the first one is going to sound like a compliment, but it isn't really. It's just biology. You are one of the most dangerous things that has ever walked on this planet. Not you personally. You right now are probably perfectly harmless. But humans as a species, to a predator's nervous system, register as something to treat with extreme caution. And the reason goes back roughly 2 million years. Humans have been active hunters for longer than most species alive today have existed. For most of that time, we weren't the biggest thing in the forest. We weren't the fastest. We couldn't outfight a lion or outrun a cheetah. But we could do something far more terrifying than either of those things. We could be patient, we could cooperate, and we could follow something for hours, days, across terrain that should have been impossible, until whatever we were chasing simply couldn't go any further. Persistence hunting, the most psychologically horrifying form of predation ever developed. Imagine being a deer. You've spotted something, a human, upright, moving at a pace that doesn't seem threatening. So you run. You easily outpace it. You look back. It's still there. You run again. You rest. You look back. It's still there. Still moving. Still coming. It never speeds up. It never stops. It doesn't need to be fast. It just needs you to eventually run out of options. And you always do. Animals learned, not individually but across generations, that this specific shape, moving on 2 legs in any condition at any time of day, meant danger. The ones that didn't treat the upright silhouette as a threat didn't pass that lesson on to offspring. The ones that ran, that gave wide clearance, that avoided the 2-legged thing entirely, those were the ones who survived long enough to reproduce. Repeat that filtering process over 50,000 generations and you get what we have today. Large predators that carry an inherited, biological aversion to humans baked so deep into their nervous systems that it operates like instinct. It's not a thought, it's a reflex. And that reflex doesn't switch off just because you're asleep. When a leopard detects your scent at 3 in the morning, it doesn't sit there consciously reasoning through its options. What happens is faster than reasoning. Something ancient and chemical in its brain fires, and the message it sends is not opportunity. The message is, be careful, don't engage, move on. That signal has been passed down through every ancestor of that leopard that successfully avoided a close encounter with humans. It's a biological memory of every time this mistake was made and punished, and it runs so deep that the animal responds to it even when you're lying completely still, completely silent, completely unaware that anything is near you at all. Now here is where it gets genuinely strange, because that inherited caution is only one piece of this. The second reason predators leave sleeping humans alone comes down to how predators actually decide what to attack. A predator is not a creature that attacks everything within reach. That image, the fearless apex killer that strikes at anything that moves, is almost entirely fiction. Real predators are extraordinarily conservative about what they engage with, because they have to be. A lion doesn't have a doctor. A wolf can't go to the emergency room. Every hunt carries the risk of injury, and an injury in the wild is not an inconvenience, it's a potential death sentence. A broken leg, a deep gash from a horn or a hoof, a damaged eye, any of these things can end a predator slowly and miserably through an inability to hunt effectively. So before any large predator commits to an attack, it is running a calculation. Is the energy cost worth it? Is the injury risk acceptable? Is this prey familiar enough that I know how it's going to behave? That last question is the one that kills any interest in you. A lion knows exactly how a wildebeest moves when cornered. It knows the kick radius, the panic direction, the point at which the animal gives up. It has built that knowledge through thousands of encounters across its lifetime and millions of encounters across its evolutionary history. It does not know how you move. It does not know what you do when something grabs you in the dark. Humans, even sleeping humans, are deeply unpredictable from a predator's perspective. You might wake up screaming. You might have a fire nearby. You might have weapons. You might have other humans who respond within seconds. The uncertainty alone is enough to make you an unappealing target. And uncertainty for a predator is not interesting. It's dangerous. Think about what that means from the predator's side. It's standing there in the dark. It can smell you. It could close the distance in under a second. And it's choosing not to. Not because it isn't hungry, not because you're protected by anything it can see, but because the internal calculation keeps coming back negative. Too unknown. Too strange, too much risk for too unclear a reward. That hesitation, that involuntary pulling back, is not a thought. It's a warning that has been embedded in that animal's biology through a very long and very brutal elimination of every predator that ever ignored it. There is almost always something easier nearby, something familiar, something that fits the template. You are not in the template, so you get skipped. But here's what really makes this work. What actually creates the bubble of protection around every sleeping human in the wild, and it's something you've probably never thought of as a survival mechanism: your smell. To you, you smell like nothing in particular, maybe faintly of whatever soap you used last. Normal, human, unremarkable. To a wolf or a bear or a big cat, you are broadcasting one of the most chemically complex and genuinely alien signals in the entire ecosystem. You smell like synthetic fabrics, like the nylon of a tent that doesn't exist anywhere in the natural world. You smell like processed food, soap, shampoo, sunscreen, plastic, fuel, metal. Bears have a sense of smell roughly 7 times stronger than a bloodhound. Wolves can detect individual scent components from nearly 2 miles away. When one of these animals encounters a sleeping human, they are receiving an olfactory profile that has no match anywhere in their evolutionary experience. And a signal with no match is not prey, it's an anomaly. And anomalies in the wild don't trigger the hunger response, they trigger caution. You don't register as food, you register as something unknown. Something that should be investigated from a distance and then avoided. And then there's fire. If you've ever slept in the wild near a campfire, you were protected by something humans figured out so long ago that it predates all of human civilization by hundreds of thousands of years. Fire is one of the only stimuli on Earth that produces a near-universal fear response across all land animals. Not learned, not acquired through experience, hardwired. Animals that were afraid of fire survived wildfires by leaving. Animals that weren't afraid didn't. So the fear got baked in across species, across continents, for millions of years. And a smoldering campfire at a sleeping human site is a continuous signal radiating outward into the dark that says, something is here that controls fire, which means something is here that is not prey. There's one more layer, and it might be the most surprising one. You're not actually as deeply asleep as you think. Human sleep runs in cycles, moving from deep sleep down to lighter stages and back up again, repeatedly throughout the night. In those lighter stages, which happen more often than most people realize, your brain is not fully offline. Researchers have confirmed that the sleeping human brain continues to process sounds from the environment, that unfamiliar sounds break through into awareness far more readily than familiar ones, and that an unexpected nearby noise can bring a person from sleep to full alertness within seconds. Scientists call this the sentinel function of sleep. The humans who slept so deeply they couldn't be woken by a threat were the ones who got removed from the gene pool. The ones who could snap awake at the sound of something large moving through brush were the ones who survived and passed that lighter sleep on to their children. You are the descendant of the light sleepers, which means that what looks like total helplessness is actually a quiet early warning system running underneath your unconsciousness. Not perfect, but present. Now, a moment of honesty, because none of this means you're untouchable. The attacks that do happen follow an almost identical pattern every single time. Something has broken, the predator is injured and can no longer hunt its natural prey. It's starving because its habitat has collapsed. It has been fed by humans before and lost the inherited wariness. The rules that normally apply have been overridden by desperation. Every documented case of a large predator attacking sleeping humans in the wild comes back to this same conclusion. The system held until something pushed the animal past the point where the system could hold. The calculation changed. The cost of caution became too high. And at that point, anything nearby becomes a possibility. This is rare, vanishingly rare, when you consider how many humans sleep outdoors every single night across the world, and how seldom this happens. The overwhelming normal is the one where you lie down in the dark, completely vulnerable, and nothing comes. And now you know why. It's not luck. It's 2 million years of consequences. You carry them with you every time you close your eyes outside. In your scent. In the way you sleep light enough to wake when you need to. In the fire your ancestors lit every single night because they understood something about darkness that we don't think about anymore. The predator that passed you in the dark didn't spare you. It just understood, the way all its ancestors understood, that you are not prey. You are the thing that made them afraid in the first place.